the bottom of that pyramid, the bottom rung, has to be your daily habit patterns. And then you can add on, if you decide to take hormones, or you decide to use peptides, or you decide to use medications. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. But what I'm highlighting in this video for your contemplation, and then maybe to use as a kind of reworking of your choices, is that bottom rung is lifestyle.
Hi, welcome to the Judy Terrell Show, where I explore topics intended to optimize every body 50, 60, 70, and above.
Stop outsourcing your fat loss and your health and regain control through lifestyle, repeated, consistent habit patterns, because lifestyle is your most potent medicine. Hi, everybody. That is my message, and that is what I want to address in this episode of my podcast. I want to talk about supplements, peptides, medications, vitamins, minerals, adaptogens, all the substances and their role in fat loss and health and lifestyle and habit patterns. Okay? Right now, it is almost like a unspoken belief that we're all, in America anyway, falling into, that if there's something wrong with us and we're not successfully managing some sort of a health issue or aging in general or menopause or fat loss, then if we just find the right supplement or the right medication or the right substance and we take it, that those things are going to heal everything that ails us. All right? If there's a pyramid of things to do, right? Right now, the unspoken belief is that the bottom rung of the pyramid, and that's on a pyramid, the bottom is like the most important, and they get, less important, but effective. They have an effect as the pyramid goes up, right? So right now, in my observation of working as a clinician for fat loss and health management, I am finishing up a PhD as a doctor of lifestyle medicine. I'm a nationally board certified health coach. I'm a New York State certified holistic nutritionist. I am a American College of Sports Medicine certified exercise physiologist. I have been coaching and programming people for fitness and eating and weight loss for 45 years, and I consider myself an expert. I have a very robust and well-received and well-viewed practice in upstate New York in America, and I have a digital, platform and a reach now that we can because of the changing in technology. So I have clients all over my country and going into international countries as well. So I consider myself an expert on this topic about lifestyle versus, substances that we would take into our body. Now, I don't want you to think that there's no place for those substances, but the main thing that I want to highlight in this video is that, if we are using them to try to treat a suboptimal condition in our body, that's where the problem lies. Because if that's what's going on, then there's clearly a problem with what should be the bottom rung of the pyramid. So going back to what I was saying, right now that bottom rung is being viewed as if it's the substances, it's the medications, and it's the supplements, and it's the peptides and all that as the foundation for, a health pyramid. We're getting it backwards. We're getting it upside down. What should be at the bottom is our daily habits and lifestyle practices, okay? Then on top of that, the supplements, the medications, the peptides, and all those substances, vitamins, minerals, and so on and so forth. And, every entity or organization that is leading in the recommendations for health, American Heart Association. The American Heart Association, if you go to their website, they will tell you that somewhere between 20 to 40% of heart disease is genetic and 60 to 80% is due to lifestyle factors. If you go to the American Diabetic Association, you're going to see similar numbers on their website for genetic factors and then lifestyle. If you go to the American Cancer Association's website, you're going to see heredity and genetics is about 40%, 30%, right in that range, similar to the other chronic illnesses. And then lifestyle is going to be by far the bulk, okay? We are living in a time of human history where if you go back to the early 1900s and like the 1800s and before, things that took out human beings, that killed us off prematurely, the main subtopic or category of things that would kill us were bacterias, infections, viruses, things like that, okay? We have now penicillin and a whole variety of medications now that allows us to, rebalance, control so that those pathogens don't override our system, and so those things don't kill us anymore. The number one killer of humans right now on the planet is heart disease. Number 2 is cancer. Then there's metabolic diseases like diabetes, autoimmune diseases. Those are the top 3. Respiratory, there's some other ones too, but all the ones that I've mentioned already, they are all diseases of lifestyle, okay? We no longer get killed off by the pathogens, we are now killing ourselves by our habit patterns, okay? All the major diseases that are taking us out, the largest percent of what factors into them is lifestyle. Not that there aren't hereditary factors, not that there aren't environmental factors, because they clearly are, but when you do the percentages and the ratios, all our leading science entities will tell you that it's lifestyle. All right? So that's number 1. So the bottom of that pyramid, the bottom rung, has to be your daily habit patterns. And then you can add on, if you decide to take hormones or you decide to use peptides or you decide to use medications, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. But what I'm highlighting in this video for your contemplation, and then maybe to use as a kind of reworking of your choices, is that bottom rung is lifestyle, okay? And here's part of what factors into why the supplements and the products and the medications are really, like, most people want to make that the bottom, and they're overriding the lifestyle in our, kind of cultural group think, is because, if you are presented with make lifestyle changes, like modify your alcohol consumption or, track your food or, introduce heart pumping exercise and get to the gym and do some strength training. And then you have that in this category. And then you're said, or you can take this pill. I mean, of course, take the pill if that's going to make you not have to do the lifestyle things. And I think that is what is happening. That's what I'm observing. But here's the deal. All these substances I just have been mentioning, all these subcategories, they will only work in the long run if they are combined with lifestyle changes, okay? None of them will work if you are doing lifestyle that is undermining what the substances are trying to help you to do, right? And that, again, is where the problem lies. I've been working in this industry for so long, way back before the GLP-1s, when insulin and metformin was coming out and they were being prescribed for diabetes. I had clients that I was working with. They hired me as their trainer. And what they would tell me is that, they were going to go to the weekend barbecue and there's going to be 5 different types of pies there. They're diabetic, mind you. And they're like, I want to eat. I'm going to have a taste of each one of these pies. I don't want to say can't have any. I don't want to limit it to just one. So I'm just going to take extra insulin so I can have these pies. All right? that is one example of many I can give you for why. So how, take those medications, but if you're not doing the lifestyle, the people who had that approach to the diabetes, just upping those medications, are the ones that had leg amputations and neuropathies and breakdown of artery walls and cellular necrosis, because even though they were upping the insulin or their metformin, they weren't changing their lifestyle habits overall, and they were, even on the medications, struggled to keep their blood sugars low enough for them to avoid, the horrible conditions and deaths that happen from diabetics or diabetes running amok. Okay? Right now, the GLP-1 medications are, they're looking like, the savior come down from the heavens, right? They're taking away food noise for people. They're helping people to lose weight, people who struggled and couldn't do it on their own. But what's happening now is that at these higher dosages, because these are not new medications, they've been out for a long time, but not administered at the levels of dosages that we are using now. So what is happening now is that people are losing weight on them at these high dosages, and if they are not being schooled to do lifestyle, if they're not working with a nutritionist that's going to help them to not undereat so low that they're below their resting metabolic rate, which then would cause, weight's going to fly off them, but it's not just fat weight, it's going to be muscle weight. They're going to be under nutrition. They're not taking in enough calcium, so then their bodies are going to take away from their teeth and their bones to try and use the calcium in the metabolic equations for metabolic, life. And we're going to have, I'm going to say about 15, 20 years from now, the first wave of people who are on these high doses of medications, for the GLP-1s in particular, I'm using as an example right here, we're going to be bombarded with severe osteoporosis, sarcopenia, which is muscle wasting or muscle loss to the point where there's functional incapacitation. So people are going to have wheelchairs and walkers and assistants to just get themselves into the bathroom. We're going to have diseases of malnutrition because people are, if you're not making lifestyle changes and not getting coached and schooled in how to properly eat so that you are not getting the negatives of using these medications. Okay? So that's a current example of how you can't use substances that you're bringing into your body to outrun or override lifestyle that is setting you up for needing them. Okay? And then going back to what I was saying about, the organizations that are responsible for insights as to how fat and obesity and diabetes and heart disease and cancers are coming to a highest level that they've ever been in human history, because genetics hasn't changed that much in the last 100 years. But what has significantly changed is our food availability, our food manufacturing. And so that alone is a significant lifestyle factor that has changed in the last 50 to 100 years. That then contributes to, lifestyle changes more so than genetics for the manifestation of these chronic illnesses. So what I wanted to do in this video is just turn your thinking, or at least turn a light on some aspects about, this tsunami of supplements, peptides, vitamins, minerals, medications, and GLP-1 medications all together. Our bodies, there's a wisdom to this DNA and to this system that has been going on for millenniums, right? And so be very careful about what I call human arrogance, thinking that just because we have science that can kind of go in and in a reductionist model kind of study parts of systems, pieces of them, because when you put them back into the holistic model of a human being, ratios, timing of cycles in the metabolism, all sorts of underlying complex systems are being affected when we are only manipulating small parts of them, okay? There's ratios. So when you're taking in too much calcium, for instance, it's going to throw off the balance of calcium, magnesium, potassium ratios in our muscles and cause cramping, all right, for instance. So it's subtle and nuanced, delicate balances, and we have to be aware of them. And lifestyle is going to be our biggest, tool in our medical toolbox. So please don't lose sight of that, everybody. That lifestyle as medicine is your most potent medicine. And once you kind of like dial those dials to what you need to do, then you may decide to take some additional substances to, just refine and top off or optimize what you're trying to achieve: fat loss, health management. But it's not the opposite. It's not the substances first and then maybe lifestyle on top of that. Okay? Be wise, people.
And if you'd like to have access to some of my additional resources, I can be found at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on my website, www.judyterrell.com.